Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. Here, this is the spot where the conversations are pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. Did you bring your thinking caps? Because it's time to put them on. Because the conversation starts now. That's one of my favorite parts of the whole cotton picking interview because I get to be right in the room with you, Queen. How are you doing?
Fantastic. So happy to
Hey.
be here.
All right. So this is great. So, welcome to On the Edge. Where are we? Brains, right here. We are at the spot, the place where the conversation is pointed. Let me get my pointer. There it is, in your face. The guests are sharp, and there she is, and the responses are what brains. They're never dull. We're here with Laura Dalmau. Laura is had quite a transformation in her own life, a realization, a metamorphosis of change, and she's continuing to grow on that. Not only is she continuing to grow with that, but she's sharing that with others. She just came from a fascinating retreat that she hosted in Peru. She's done others around the world, and we want to talk to her a lot about that because, changing your life is the real deal. We want to talk to her about these profound walks that she goes on, and the awakening, and the quietness and the stillness, but also the profound messages that she hears during that transitional time. So let's welcome her to the edge. How are you, Laura Dalmau?
Thank you, April. I'm so happy to be here with you.
I'm so happy that you're back home safe. Anytime people travel outside the country these days, girl, I got to worry till you get home.
Yes, yes. No, it's beautiful.
It was okay, good. There wasn't a lot of COVID restrictions there in Peru.
You have to wear a double mask on the airplane, and there were COVID restrictions in certain parts.
Okay.
But yeah, we were able to
To move
have
around
a
pretty
good
much,
trip.
pretty freely.
Yeah, yeah, especially in the Sacred Valley. The Sacred Valley is outside of Cusco, and it's so magical. It's
So tell me about the magic that you produce. Tell us a little bit about you, your history, and what brought you to this place.
okay. Well, um, I was born in Venezuela. My parents are Spanish, and since the age of 2, I grew up in the United States. I grew up in Miami, Florida. So I grew up with a wonderful family. But as through my teenage years and everything, I started experiencing, a lot of uh, not fitting in, not, I had a lot of problems with my self-love, and just really was unhappy during my teenage years. So that led me to my future, to be able to work with meditation teachers, with yoga instructors, and my mom suffered a stroke um, uh, 25 years ago, and seeing my mom go through that, and having to recover because she lost the right side of her body, um, and seeing everything that my mom went through, and using meditation and a lot of holistic techniques to get better, made me really fascinated with this holistic world, and it led me through everything that I was feeling, and trying to help myself, navigate through these difficult things. And I see it a lot in teenagers now. I see a lot of
Oh, it's a lot of uncertainty, but a lot of that stems too from past generational trauma
absolutely,
and
absolutely.
so unresolved issues.
Mhm.
that is
It stays on a
carried on.
cellular level. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, we're indigenous tribal people. So
Absolutely.
this goes back, for us, 400 or 500 years.
Yeah. And
How we were treated, slave trades, war, impoverishment, and then we live this lush, beautiful lifestyle now. I can understand it, but I cannot believe that you didn't feel like you fit in. You just seem like the party girl, and everybody's gonna want to know you. And just what was that going on? Was it bullying, or was it a lack of self love, and you really didn't recognize that people really cared that much about you? Did you shun it away? Were you introverted?
I'm the youngest of three, and my mother had me at 40. And my parents were always older, so I was always around older people.
Okay.
And I lived with my grandparents and everything, but there was a time that I didn't feel myself. I didn't like my body. I didn't feel I fit in. I really, for many years, I did not feel that I felt. I mean, I had friends, but there was a part of me that was very separate from, um, uh, yeah, from life, and I tried to cover those feelings, maybe through shopping or maybe through eating. Um, that
Oh,
I
so
was
so that's what I could say. I could tell my husband that when I'm excessively shopping, baby, I'm just not feeling good. I'm not feeling loved. I'm not feeling rewarded, so I'm gonna do that to myself. But I say that jokingly, but a lot of people do. They self-medicate,
Yes,
they
exactly.
overshop, they
Alcohol,
gamble.
yes. Yeah, a lot of these things that we try to make ourselves see. And I've seen it a lot with the people in my circle, and that it's, we try to cover all of that sadness, and we try to cover all of those feelings where we don't feel inadequate, we don't feel enough, we feel that, yeah, we don't feel loved in
Right,
certain areas
right.
of our lives.
So as
So
you evolve and you come to this awakening, about how old were you when you realized that, you needed a change?
I would say it was when I was finishing college,
Okay.
um, and I started with yoga. I started, going to classes and in spiritual uh, communities. And I just, I wanted to elevate my consciousness and elevate the the way that I was feeling. It was not going the way that I wanted to.
Right. Now,
Um,
as you grew up, and I always like to give an opposing point of view. I ask the question, you answer it. But sometimes people will say, well, everybody in their 20s is really trying to find out who they are. Right after they've got out of college, they're trying to figure out their career and love and marriage and all that kind of stuff. But when you say that you went to different spiritual communities, some people could also say, was that a heavy influence in a positive way?
yeah, I started. I wanted to have different conversations than the ones that I was surrounded by at the time, and I had never meditated, so it
Right.
was like I didn't have that stillness. I was never taught that growing up, so it was like that quieting of the mind, and and it made me feel better. It made me feel better. And then it led me to travel. So when I would go on these travels, my family spent time in Europe and Spain, and I would just meet very interesting healers and very interesting teachers, and they just opened up my mind to living life, um, in a different way, to being more connected to nature.
Hmm.
Because I grew up in Miami. I grew up,
Right.
like not,
Right.
uh,
Now, did you grow up with any religious doctrine?
no,
Okay, so
no.
your parents didn't take you to church or anything like that? Okay.
I was, but there was a point in my life where I started going to church on my own.
Right.
And, like, because I wanted, I wanted that connection. I
Right.
was looking for that connection, and so then I would go with my friends.
Right.
And I ended up in. Sometimes I would go to synagogues. I studied Kabbalah for. It was just
Well, you were a
different.
seeker, and again, brains. That's what you have to do. One size does not fit all.
Yes, exactly.
And
And I
so
learned.
I have been, again, I grew up one religion, and when my own spiritual awakening came, it was in total contradiction to what I was raised. But what I was able to do is to see the parallels
Yes,
between what I was looking for and what I found. So meditation, that's another thing. I'm gonna keep it 100 with you.
yeah,
Sometimes I have to pull back on the meditation because I get these downloads, and with those downloads, to me, it's like instructions. Okay, well, you need to do this. You need to focus on this. You've asked for this. You need to follow up. It's another agenda item. And so I had to ask the universe, can you slow down on giving me so much to do? I need it in bite sized pieces. Meditation is very heavy. People are brainwashed through meditation. I've got another guest coming on my show that was with a guru that would make her meditate 4 and 5 hours straight.
right.
Okay,
Yes,
if I get through a good 30 minutes, an hour, baby, I'm going to the moon. But to be there and to chant and meditate and be silent for 4 and 5 hours, it is really, uh,
a lot.
it's a
Yeah.
lot.
For
So,
me, my favorite meditation is actually when I'm in nature. That to me is my favorite, is taking long walks in nature and doing my meditation while I walk.
mhm.
That's my favorite type of meditation that I've been using for the past few years, and it's very helpful to me. And because that's where I feel that I'm surrounded by all of this abundance, that my heart is at peace. I feel, um, connected. I feel very connected when I meditate in nature. Yeah.
Okay, so now you're connected by this invisible string to nature. What are you doing with that? I mean, because you're connected, that's fine. But how are you either pouring it forward? How are you really living out the manifestation of your dreams?
Yeah. Well, I had a dream many years ago, and it was to be able to connect people and to run retreats, to help people feel better. The conversations I was having with the people in my inner circle, I always felt they were coming to me for advice. And and I always shared my story, and I shared how the things that were helping me feel better. So with these amazing teachers that I met as I traveled, I traveled to India, I traveled to Brazil, I spent some time in Bali, uh, in Mauritius. I met very like powerful healers that that they were just doing things very differently. And I started connecting them, and I started putting these retreats together. So actually my retreats are my manifestation of my dream that I had many years ago.
And so, what sort of things transpire at these retreats that you have? Is it a combination of diet and meditation, maybe sound bath, maybe Reiki, maybe emotional freedom technique, hypnosis? Do I sound like I've been there?
Yeah. For real. Oh, soon. Um, Yes, it depends. So what I do at the retreats is I bring different teachers from that I um, that I work with from around the world. Like right now, we just brought a healer from Australia to work in Peru, and we use meditation, we use sound healing. We usually we have vegetarian cuisine at these retreats, and we do ancestral clearing. We work a lot on the ancestral level to to remove things that are on a cellular level that are there, and sometimes we don't understand why we keep on having the same patterns, but it's because it's already in ourselves. So we have to move the energy. So we do a lot of energy work, and we really, when we're in places of a high vibration, we use the energy of the land. So we connect to the ancestors of the land, and we connect to the elements, especially in Peru. In Peru, we connect a lot to all of the elements.
Three. So, Laura, I was teasing you about your trip to Peru. I have some other guests that have just been in Peru, and they opt to go on a psychedelic trip and take ayahuasca.
Yes.
A lot of people are doing that. I had one woman that told me that she had been on like 20 or 25 trips. Do you know anyone that has experienced that deep level? Because here in California, they're trying to make hallucinogenics legal, just like marijuana. They say that it is a way for you to break through and really get a clearing. Do you know anything about that?
Yes, well, I have taken ayahuasca, and I have worked with the medicine of Kambo, um, that is comes from the poison of the frog, and so I do have experience. I haven't done it 20 times, but
Yeah, I'm like, you better hope. I said, you better hope one of those trips you don't get lost.
yeah, it's very intense, and I think that
Okay, so wait, just a minute, just take us on a psychedelic trip with you, because I'll tell you, Brains, I'll self disclose. I was at a concert one time,
yeah.
and I took some magic mushrooms,
Oh
and
gosh.
baby, it was off the chain. The sky just opened up, and everything was just so beautiful, and it was tranquil, and I wasn't, you know, jittery, and I didn't feel like people were after me. It wasn't a paranoia. It was a journey. It was a trip for sure.
Yeah.
How'd you feel?
Well, I believe that the most important thing to say is that we have to have a lot of respect when working with this medicine, because it shouldn't be taken lightly.
Right.
Had I had a very profound experience. So my journey was not easy. It was very difficult at times. The beginning it was very colorful and very beautiful,
Right.
but when you hit the dark moments, you need to be ready to go through that.
Right.
Um,
And
and
you need to be brains. This is, we're not talking about just see, mine was just a,
mhm,
party kind of trip.
yeah,
Yours was real yours was for, a different type of revelation. And I
yeah,
get that. But when you're dealing with something like this, never be alone.
yeah. No, never be
You need to
alone.
be with
And
someone that can, again, check your heart rate,
yeah,
to if you can have someone there that is some sort of medical professional, mental health, because
yeah,
you're going to have a breakthrough. You're going to
yeah.
cry, you're going to scream, you're going to shout, you're going to, speak in
And
tongues and
yeah,
native
maybe
languages.
throw up a lot. Like
Yeah, you're
it's
going to go through a whole thing. This is a cleansing. So I'm kind of joking with it, but
yeah.
serious stuff. This is nothing to play with.
No. And it's really important. And I speak from experience that the person guiding has to, like, I mean, I recommend that you work with a really good shaman because the person has to know how to hold space for
Right.
the people. There was somebody in my group that ended up having a seizure, and there was somebody else who ended up in the hospital. So it's really you have to be very careful. um, I was very lucky, but
And a,
when
oh,
mhm,
I'm sorry. And in a good portion of the time, when you are doing this, you're on sacred ritual grounds. You're not near the next
right,
emergency room. You know,
right,
you're in
yeah,
the hills or you're in the mountains, and you have to go back, and your body has to go back to that original state of where it was where this event actually occurred. So if there were medicine men or medicine women at that time, and they worked with the spirits and they worked with the gods to get you through this, if there was sacred chants that they do, whatever ritual it was, that's where you're stuck at that time till you get through this and
yeah,
get on the other side. So you got to be prepared for all of that. And then the recovery afterwards, the awakening of what you found, the realization, being able to go back and see and visit those things, that can be scary too, Laura.
yeah, no, absolutely. It's definitely it cannot be taken lightly, and I tell people, like, you really have to be prepared for this. This is not something like, oh, I'm gonna go, like, do this. This is something that has to be done with a lot of respect,
Mhm.
and with intention. Um, it's very important to set your intention as you're starting this journey, and Mother Ayahuasca guides you and teaches you what you need to learn. But yeah, it really, for me, it was a life-changing experience, and
Mhm, mhm,
the
mhm, mhm.
aftermath of uh, just, I remember walking on the street and just feeling that connection with nature. I mean, to feel the abundance of life and the abundance of beauty that we have around us.
Mhm,
We're
mhm.
in this life, we're always looking at, what's wrong, and here, and it's like this, like, opens you up to see the beauty of
It
uh,
teaches you gratitude,
yeah, exactly.
because
Yes.
happiness is just like Aroesca High.
Yeah.
It takes you a place, but I find that people still want to be high. What's the next thing that's going to take me to that next level of satisfaction? They never plateau. They never understand that the present is all that we have.
Yeah.
5 minutes from now, there's going to be someone that's going to pass away.
That's right.
Two
That's right.
minutes from now is going to be another baby born. You
Mhm.
never know what is going to happen in this life, so you have to really take it seriously and be grateful for everything. Are you married, Laura?
No, I'm divorced, but I
Okay.
have two children. I have a daughter who's 15 and a son who's 12.
Okay. And so, what do they think about their mom going on this experimental journey to
Yeah.
truth and seeking the light? Because kids don't get it sometimes.
Yeah.
I could tell your kids something and they, oh my God, Miss April said blah, 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 blah. You tell them the same thing. It's like, oh, mom, really? So what do they think about this and seeing this whole enlightenment journey that you're going through?
Yeah, they're sometimes they think it's too much. but but yeah, they've seen the process that I've gone through, and I tell them stories, and I tell them, like, I tell them about my dark moments, and I tell them, like, how what things have helped me through these times. Now, at the retreats that we've done so far, we haven't done. We have not brought in plant medicine.
Oh no, but I'm just
No.
saying this the whole thing, the whole conversation. That's something way different that you'll have to decide when and if you share that with your children because
Yeah.
You want to be the cool mom, but you also
Yeah.
want them to be respectful of what you're doing. You're not doing it just to be wasted at a
No,
party,
no.
and they have to mature into that.
Yes.
What do you
No,
feel about them
absolutely.
finding their own belief system? If they opt to go in a different direction, say Christianity or Buddhism, or are you open to that?
Absolutely. Yeah. I am open because I've been I've I've been in, in Christianity, I've been in Judaism, I've been in, like in India, like with Buddhist practices and things like that. And for me, I feel I've learned from all of them. Like and that's why for me it's about being open and respecting my children for, what they choose. And and yeah.
Well, and at this age that they're in, it's a very tender age. There's a lot of peer pressure. There's a lot of outside influence. Remember back when you were
Mhm.
14 and 15 and you had this sense of not belonging? That is when you started to kind of edit and filter and shift what you were doing. Are you looking for those signs in your children as well?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a difficult age.
Yeah, because they pull
Um,
back and they don't talk a lot. They
they
talk into
don't
their
talk.
device.
Yeah,
My daughter is in her 30s and she will text me from the living room. Ooh, and I just come up
yeah,
out the ground. I get so mad. I feel that's so disrespectful, that
yeah,
but that's how they communicate now. The world is
yeah.
different.
I
And
grew
so,
up. I grew up in a very different world, and like I was playing with my dolls till like I was probably 12,
right.
and like it was very different. So I see that in teenagers, like around, and
What would
yeah.
you tell a 25-year-old Laura
Mhm.
Dalma? What would you say to her?
At 25,
Right.
um, I would tell them not to worry, not to, like to know that everything's gonna work out. Like whatever life is gonna take them through the teachings that they need to learn at that time. Like, don't stress so much about your life, because we all get the lessons that we need, and it just it's all divinely orchestrated. I think that everything, and even the people that have to go through very difficult situations, I mean, there's a teaching and all of the things that we go through in life.
I've heard you mention a couple times in this interview that, you say your circle, your
Hmm.
close circle.
Yeah.
What characteristics do you look for in a friend and people that you allow in your inner circle?
I I really look for connection. I I enjoy, well, when I speak of my friends, I consider my friends my family. And so it's that bond. It's that, I'm looking for kindness, and I'm looking to grow together. So that's what
That's
I.
good. Yeah. I look for things like I look at their character, I look at their values.
Mhm.
I look at whether we can agree to disagree and not be disagreeable.
Yeah.
Opposing point of views. That's how you grow, that's how you evolve.
They grow.
I'm looking for a sense of responsibility. And big thing I like is
Mhm.
loyalty.
Loyalty, absolutely.
I like loyalty, but loyalty and trust are two different things. I don't give trust very easy because I have to see your loyalty. And I don't, I just, when I mean loyalty, it doesn't have to be unyielding,
Mhm.
but I want to know that I can count on you. I want to know that I can trust you. I want to know that you are there to help me toe the line, which is
Yeah.
so important. And that's what you've done for so many people.
Yeah, and
Over so many
I feel
years.
like also like when you go through difficult times, that's when you really find out who your friends are.
Exactly.
And I think that that's something that life has taught me. because when things are great, you know, like
Right.
it's, but when you go through difficult situations, then it's like, then I remember when my grandmother used to say it, and she used to say, Laura, on one hand, you know, you're going to be able to count your friends,
Yep. Yep.
and you know, you'll still have fingers missing. And
You
I've
will.
been very blessed. I really, I have a wonderful circle of
Well,
people
that's
that
important. That's
yeah.
so important. So how can we get into that inner circle with you? Tell my brains how they can contact you if they want to get more information. Maybe, see if they are the perfect candidate for a future retreat. Uh,
Yes, yes,
and, offer some great suggestions. How do they get in contact with you?
yes. Thank you so much. So the best way is on my Instagram, which is Laura Christina D. And they can also email me at info@lauradalmau.com. But on my Instagram, if they send me a DM, I'll be happy to connect with them.
Okay. Well, I'm excited. I want them to reach out. Brains, check it out. It's a new way of exploring, but you got to be ready for this.
Mhm.
This is not just some bullshit.
No, yeah,
You really have to put on your big girl and big boy panties, because it's not just going on the trip, but it is how you're going to process what you discover on the other side of that, how you're going to apply that to your life, how you're going to apply that to others. Is there sincerity there? Did you grow from this process? Is there more work that needs to be done? There's still a lot of unanswered questions. So I'm sure that Laura has the subject matter experts there on her team, in her circle, that'll be able to work with you. Now, I need you to work with me. Okay? You see this right here, Brains? This address. Write it real good. I need you to go in and love, like, and share. Leave a comment. Love, like, and share. This is how we grow. Because we go on these experiences, these are individual journeys, but if we are going to be able to pour into others, we need to know what you need so we can ask the right questions. We can have the right people in the room, that we can, prepare a feast in front of you, and that you will grow and you will eat from that, and it will be organic and you will bloom like a lotus flower. Thank you so much. And come back and visit me. I want to hear about something. What would be cool, Laura? If you would maybe go on one of these retreats and do an audio book,
yes.
or as really, as you're walking through and you're doing these meditations, stop and pull out your phone and start recording it and just do it live and raw, because that's what people like. They want the true authentic self, and that is who you are. Thank you so much, baby.
Amazing. Thank you, April. Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure.
All right, be good to yourself.
Thank you. You too. Bye bye.
Bye, brains.